No, I don't.
They've got a guy that has 70 touchdowns and 8,000 yards as playing quarterback for him. 70 touchdowns, 8,000 yards.
Yeah, for a freaking where do you play?
What does Texas got? Quinn Ewers, who's never played a game. He was fourth string at Ohio State. Fourth.
Oh, you finna find out. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, we are. We are.
Find out.
Turn on the lights, let me step up on the stage. Give me the mic, this is my time.
Welcome back to Nobody's Safe. Nobody's safe, nobody's safe. I'm your host, Jason Watkins. I am back with the friend of me, Mr. Bryce Pinson. And if you love college football, you're definitely in the right place. So before you forget, make sure to smash the subscriber button, like our videos, and ring the bell so that you don't miss one moment of the Nobody's Safe podcast. Horns down, Boomer Sooner, F Texas, whatever. Okay, we're gonna. This is the second half of our. Yeah, always. I love it. So this is going to be the second half of our Big 12 preview show. We are going to get into what we consider the upper echelon of the Big 12. As I said in the last video, because of there's some teams that we highlighted in that last video that are definitely more about that could definitely jump into this upper echelon. And I'm going to tell you, we're going to talk about Texas here. They're not upper echelon. They were 5-7 a year ago.
Stop.
They were 5-7 a year ago, and I could see them falling easy.
Well, you better stop.
It could happen. It could happen. I think you know it could happen. I think you know it could happen. Don't start with that.
I love the Sooners. I love the
You know what? I also would tell you that Oklahoma State, I don't think that they're really going to keep it up there, but I do think that they're better than Texas. And I know Baylor's better than Texas.
He hates Oklahoma. You tell him, Tori. Have you driven through there? What the heck's wrong with this guy? Anyways, let's do the podcast.
Tori, mind your business, Tori.
Mind your business, he said. Shoot the podcast. My gosh. We hate that state, bro. Anyways, moving on. Oklahoma's the worst state on the planet. Moving on.
Hey, let's start this off. Hey, since we got into Texas, let's talk Texas. You did the preview for them yesterday or the other day. Obviously, yeah, we missed a few there, huh? But didn't pay attention to that scrimmage. Didn't pay attention to the scrimmage there, Bryce.
But you know what you don't pay attention to ever?
What?
Oklahoma. You don't pay attention to how bad they're going to be. They lost all their starters, their quarterback, their coach. So
we'll talk about that in just a second. If you want to talk,
I can't wait.
You can talk Oklahoma.
I can't wait.
But then I'll kill you on that. You know I'm going to kill you on that.
No, I don't.
They've got a guy that has 70 touchdowns and 8,000 yards as playing quarterback for him. 70 touchdowns, 8,000 yards.
Yeah, for a freaking where do you play?
What does Texas got? Quinn Ewers, who's never played a game. He was fourth string at Ohio State. Fourth.
Oh, you finna find out. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, we are.
Find out.
He's a the quarterback is the preseason All Big 12 first teamer. So keep talking.
And
keep talking.
Quinn Ewers is the preseason second teamer. So
he's never played a game. He's never played a down.
You don't need to. When you have hair like Quinn Ewers and you roll with a freaking mullet out the gate, bro.
This is what you get on the Nobody's Safe podcast. You get
nowhere else.
You get logic, nowhere else. You get logic here, and you get knucklehead over here.
All right, let's talk Texas.
Talk Texas.
They got the best running back in the country. There's no doubt about it.
No doubt about that.
They have no defense in the country. They're still looking for it. Can't find it.
Yeah, obviously. Talk about Bijan, though. I mean, Bijan Robinson this guy is, we talked in the last video about Deuce at Kansas State, Deuce McAllister. That guy's insane.
Not McAllister. Not Deuce Vaughn.
Deuce Vaughn. Sorry, Deuce.
Yep. McAllister, good call.
Why did I say that?
I like it.
Why did I say that?
Interesting.
No, but with Deuce Vaughn being a stud, but Bijan, bro, this guy has been better? Unreal.
Is he better than Breece Hall? We talked about Breece Hall in the last video too, and I kind of would like to say probably.
I think that he's got easily that kind of skill set.
1A, 1B.
Yeah, absolutely.
Last year,
this
right?
dude, I mean, he's definitely Well, he was the first team Big 12 running back a year ago, and Bryce was still there.
Yeah.
So, you know, you can say what you want to say, but I think that Bijan is the real deal. I don't think that he was even used the way that I felt like I would have used him in view of the fact that their quarterback situation wasn't great last season.
The way you should use him is give him the ball every single play.
Out of the backfield, however you need to do it. If I'm Sark, I want him to be 70% or more getting touches, looks, whatever, or at least looking his way. Because of the fact that, I mean, they were just so uneven at quarterback throughout the season. You know what I mean? It was just one of those things where if I'm, and again, I'm not the coach, so I'm not everybody knows I don't believe a whole lot in Sark. But that being said, when you look at a guy like Bijan Robinson and you don't feel like he got enough looks, I mean, it's easy. That's an easy place to go. And Sark opened his nose up with that. They also have Xavier Worthy coming back, though, as well. That's a wide receiver room that it took a hit, obviously, with Nayor going down a week ago or 2 weeks ago, whenever the scrimmage was, basically.
Jason, I think it took a huge hit, man. And the reason is because
he was their big guy.
They needed that.
He was that guy that's
they don't have one.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they do. I'm sure they got a big guy, but he was
not one that's proven or anything like that, is what you're saying. Yeah,
I think it's a huge hit. And I like Xavier Worthy. I mean, he's good. He'd be really good in the slot. He'd be, he's good.
Sure.
He's not. I don't think he should be preseason All-American first team, and I know he is, but I don't.
No, it's all Big 12. I don't think he's preseason All-American.
I mean, sorry, Big 12.
Yeah.
Sorry, Big 12. That's what I meant. But he shouldn't have been that. I'm sure there's one guy in the Big 12 better than him, in my opinion.
There are guys. I mean, I think he's probably one of the top 3 guys, though. I don't think he's very far off. He was really good a year ago, man. He was. He was really good.
I don't believe in a guy who's 165 pounds soaking wet.
He runs a 4.2, 4.3. I believe in him. It don't matter how freaking heavy you are at that point. Who's going to run with you? Listen, again, to me, Texas is a team that I feel like they could fall off. I think they could win 10 games, or I think they could win 5 again. I just don't know what it is yet. And
I think it comes down to defense, man.
Gary Barnett coming in. Listen,
Gary Patterson.
With Gary Patterson coming in, Gary Barnett, that guy's a coach from a long time ago.
This guy, y'all hear this guy? This guy's supposed to be the guy who gets the names right and the people right and all that. Like, let me know.
Are you really going to go there after yesterday?
If you want to go. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, this is my job to screw up.
No, listen.
It's my job.
Patterson, we know that he was – listen, that guy knows defense. And the thing is the problem I think they're going to become sound on the defensive side of the ball. Their problem is that they just don't have a lot of beef up front. I think that's going to get really exposed week 2 when they play Alabama. And, because they're solid always on the lines. I think that's where they're going to have their biggest problem. The secondary, I know this kind of new. I believe it's pretty new as well. But what I'm going to tell you is Coach Patterson, he's the special assistant. I don't think he's the defensive coordinator, but he's going to bring something to the table there, right?
Well, it says that he's coaching linebackers, which is a big deal because they need to tackle.
Of course.
So he's coaching linebackers, and I think he might be coaching safeties too, which are all positions that say, hey, tackle somebody.
Go hit somebody.
Because they don't tackle. They don't tackle.
No, they didn't. No,
and one guy I really like, I like that corner they brought in from Ohio State. He didn't get to play much at Ohio State, but when he was on the field, it seemed like he was always intercepting the ball.
I'll tell you something, man. If you get a guy that was at Ohio State, he's a good player, probably.
Unless he's Quinn Ewers, and then it's like
he was 4th string. The guy was he was 4th string, bro. It's one thing that if he was just behind the starter, that's not all it was. Whatever. Maybe Quinn's
great. He rescinds that statement that he made.
We're going to find out
a minute ago.
No, we're going to find out if he's good. I don't resent it. I'll say it again. Show me, bro. I want to see it.
Then you rescinded the statement. You said if he comes from Ohio State, he's good. And then I bring up Quinn Ewers. You're like, never mind.
No, and I'm not saying that either. Maybe Quinn was good. I say he was a 4th stringer. He wasn't that good. I don't know why he went to Ohio State, to be quite honest with you. It just doesn't even make sense.
That was weird. It was weird. He went Texas, Ohio State, Texas. It's flipping weird. If I was Texas, I wouldn't want him. But I guess whenever he got the mullet going, they're like, we'll take him.
He's looked really good in spring. He's looked really good in fall camp. I know that much.
Really good.
He definitely won the job, and Sark didn't just hand him the job. He won it. So there is something to be said for that. Let's move on. Yeah, let's do that. Next up, let's look at the defending champion Baylor Bears. This is a team that, even with the new quarterback, I think it's probably a good thing that they got a new quarterback. A year ago, Bohannon was not. He could run really well. But that's really all they did well on that side of the football. The defense definitely carried the way. It was almost a historically good defense in Waco. Dave Aranda this guy has proven to be the man when it comes to assistants making good on what they were. He was amazing at LSU as their defensive coordinator, and he turned a 2-7 team into an 11-2 Sugar Bowl winning team over Ole Miss. Won the Big 12 in his second season. Beat the brakes off of Oklahoma. I mean, he exposed Lincoln Riley in that game. On his play calling stuff. It did not look good for Oklahoma ever. At any point of the game did they look like they were in control. So to me, this guy's the real deal. They've got chops. I would not be surprised. I think that their over under is 8.5 in Vegas. I think they cruise over the top of that. I think that if anybody's going to beat them, it might be Oklahoma, but I don't know that that's even for sure either. I really don't. I think that Baylor is the real deal. They've got a lot of guys that are new to the defense. They don't have a ton of returning starters, but what they have is Dave Aranda, and they're big, and they're going to do what they do.
Returning offensive line is what they have.
Yeah, listen, man. Yeah,
Connor Galvin.
Yep, Connor Galvin. Yep, left tackle.
Jacob Moll, the center.
Bro, they're filthy. They've returned 4 or 5 on the line.
Yeah. Keith guy at offensive tackle.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean
these dudes. Good. I mean, and the thing is the running game, they lost their 2 best running backs. What I would tell you is that they're going to run the ball well anyway, because this is kind of what that offense does is run the football. Or the offensive coordinator, that's kind of how he does things. What I would tell you is they're going to be better just because of the fact that they can throw the ball down the field now.
Blake Shapen?
Yes, sorry. Okay, they're going to be better on offense just because of the fact that they do have. He got into the he ended up playing that Big 12 championship game. He was like 21 for 28, almost 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. I mean, he came in, had a big game. He definitely won the job from Bohannon a year ago because of the fact that, I mean, in spring, Aranda did something that most coaches wouldn't do. And told him that they were going with Shapen so that he could go ahead and transfer if he wanted to, which surprised me because most coaches would be like, man, I may need him. This is a guy that won a lot of games, but he couldn't throw the ball. That's something that they want to be able to do. It will make their running game better to be able to throw it down the field a little bit, and they're going to run the ball too. So I don't know. Again, I feel like Baylor is right there. They're right there, man.
My thing with Baylor is whenever you kind of look at it, it looks like they're not built like an SEC school. That's not what I'm trying to say.
Sure.
But it looks like they have shored up their offensive, defensive line. They're big guys, the guys that are harder to find.
Right.
That's their good guys. They don't have a lot of high-name skill players.
I think the only guy that's got really a whole lot of on the offense as far as skill guys is concerned would be their tight end, Ben Sims. He had some touchdowns last year. He's solid, almost 500 yards. For a tight end, that's not terrible in college. He's a stud. But the rest of them, they just don't have – they've got some guys what they're going to need is some of those freshman contributions, sophomore, the early up, the younger guys, that are going to.
They just need to find one guy. They find one guy, they'll be okay.
Sure.
Skill players, I think, are a little easier to replace.
Yeah. Listen,
than the big
they
guys.
have had some injuries during camp, but it doesn't. None of them are like super serious. So it looks like
God makes a limited amount of big guys that are athletic.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So if you got that spot sewed up, you'll find some speed guys that can catch the ball.
Sure.
You'll find some guy.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully.
Well, and if you've got a guy that can throw it, and they love Shapen.
They do.
You know, they love Shapen. And he looked really, really good on defense. The guy they got coming back would be Dillon Doyle. He actually was second on the team in tackles a year ago. He's their middle linebacker. He's a stud. You know,
what do you think about Shapen for a Heisman bet? Just a little underdog Heisman bet.
I probably wouldn't, but
you wouldn't?
No, I think that probably if you're looking at a guy to do that, I think that
if they make the playoff.
If they made the playoff, man, maybe. Yeah, look, they would have had to play really well. Who else is going to win? They would have had to play really well and go undefeated. And if he does that, then, yeah, his name would be up there.
I think as like an underdog bet, I don't hate it. He's the best player on the offense. The only guy on the offense I can see.
I don't really do a whole lot of those futures betting.
Okay. Futures. Okay.
Maybe, but I mean – and I know what this is going to sound like, but a guy like Dillon Gabriel is a guy that has 70 touchdowns and 8,000 yards.
Oh, we know what it sounds like. My gosh. We'll talk about Oklahoma in a minute. Clip this segment. If Shapen wins the freaking Heisman, I want to replay this. Because it's possible.
Look, Shapen has done – what has he done as to compared to what the other guy's done? And what I'm saying is not a biased statement. It's backed up by freaking stats. I mean, I don't get it. Whatever. Okay. Anyway, moving on. I think that if there is
a guy, talk about Oklahoma.
If there's a guy in the conference that could win the Heisman, I don't really know who it is. I think it would probably be Marvin Mims.
Oh,
Marvin Mims.
Mims, Robinson. There's a lot of guys in the conference that could win it.
Johnston could maybe be that guy, depending
There's a lot of guys that could win it.
Yeah, listen, fine. But I don't know that. I think that Bryce Young is probably, and then you got the guy at Ohio State. I think it's going to be really hard. And then you got Caleb Williams, who left Oklahoma and is at SC. You know,
but Jason, that's kind of my point. If you have one of these squads coming out of the Big 12,
I would never want to
make the playoffs
because of the fact that you've got Caleb Williams, Bryce Young, and those other guys out there that are one of those three is going to win it. I wouldn't make the bet.
I feel you. All I'm saying is it wouldn't surprise me if one of these teams went like into the playoffs and got into the national championship game. Dude, I think if Oklahoma gets to the national championship game, you're going to have to give it to Mims or Gabriel.
Yeah. No, well, that would have meant that they played great because I guarantee you it was going to take that. On that defense, I think that their best guy coming back, I was talking about, Dillon, whatever, but Siaka Ika.
Yeah, the defensive tackle or defensive lineman.
He's a monster. Yeah. This dude is
a monster.
Yeah, and he's a big boy.
That's what my daughter calls her.
7 solo tackles, 24 tackles from the defensive tackle, had 4 sacks, 7 tackles for a loss a year ago. This dude, he takes up space in the middle there. He is, and having him come back, that's a lot of, when you have a defense that is as good, and Aranda thinks that they might be better defensively this year, which is hard to say when you lost as many guys as they did. But if he thinks that, I guarantee you it's going to be because of guys like Ika. This dude eats up space. He eats up blockers, and he allows guys like in the linebacking core to clean it up and make plays. And that's what it takes with defenses. You always, when a linebacker's great, you always look in front of him and see why. Almost every time. Ask Brian Urlacher about his defensive tackles that he loved. Guaranteed. They helped him become a Hall of Famer because of the fact that, Brian was able to roam. You know what I mean? They would eat up tackles, and that's what it is. Important. Same thing with Ray Lewis. Think about their defensive tackles in Baltimore all those years.
Oh, yeah. Lodi Nada.
There you go. That's a Hall of Fame guy, man. Lodi Nada.
We better move on to Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma State, yeah. Listen, they've got some guys coming back. They're one of the teams that they're losing a lot on defense is where they're losing it. And that's for Oklahoma State is generally a team that relies mostly on their offense. I think that with Spencer Sanders at quarterback, I don't like the guy. I think that he threw in the Big 12 championship, he threw 4 interceptions. They lost by a couple of inches. He threw 4 interceptions. That's why they really lost. He did look good in the bowl game against Notre Dame. But to me, I don't think that his handle on this job is great. It's just not. As a matter of fact, I would say that it's probably, you're probably looking at they're going to start off 3-0 because they start off with 3 non-conference, passes.
Cupcakes.
Yeah, but they got Baylor in week 4. We're going to know by week 4 at the end of the week. But when you look at it, they're only returners that are really coming back. You've got Dominic Richardson in the backfield, and then Brennan Presley, he started, but he wasn't like their main receiver a year ago.
Yeah, so my only thing, whenever I look at Oklahoma State, Jason, I think it's really weird, man. I think they're going to be pretty good on defense.
They were 12-2, 8-1, bro. But they lost everything in the secondary. They lost their defensive coordinator.
Yeah,
he went to Ohio State.
Listen to this. And I don't know how much weight you can put into this, but whenever I look at this squad, it literally tells me that everything on Oklahoma State's defensive side of the ball, like they have All-American,
defensive line is still there. The defensive line is basically still there.
Safety. Like the guys they kept on defense are really, really, really good, it looks like. You know what I'm saying? But now offense, I don't see anything.
Here's the thing. How much of it was that defensive coordinator who won the Broyles Award for the best, assistant in the country a year ago?
Maybe true.
So here's the deal.
I don't think they're going to be good. I don't like the bet of the over-under. If there's an over-under,
I like them for the over. I definitely like them for the over. I think they win 9 games.
What is it?
8.5. It's 8.5 also. I think they win.
Where's their schedule?
Yeah, they're. I think here's the deal. Even if they were to, they're going to beat Texas probably. I feel like they probably beat Iowa State. They lost to Iowa State a year ago. I'm giving them the Texas win. I think that maybe they beat Baylor, maybe they don't. It just depends. I would think.
Oh yeah, the over is good because that schedule is not.
It's pretty shaky, other than those big games right there. And
Baylor,
I don't even know that they necessarily have to beat. If they beat Baylor or Oklahoma, they're definitely going to win 9 games.
Yeah, I think you're right. My bad on that.
And I feel like with Texas, because I'm getting ready to put that preview out, so I've been looking at them and looking at it. I would love to say under, but I bet with my freaking brain, not my heart, because I don't care about.
They're going over.
You know that. I think they're an over team.
Yeah.
What I would say again, I don't care about this quarterback. I think that he is the least impressive quarterback in Oklahoma State in 15 years, probably. I really do think that. I just don't think that because Oklahoma State puts out some guys, man. They generally. But they do have a couple of guys waiting in the wings that can spin it. They do. And they're younger guys, and I don't know how. I feel like Coach Gundy would probably, if you see another 4 interception day, he's gone. He's gone. You know what I mean? They lose to Baylor. They lose Baylor. He gone. He's gone.
He's gone.
So I like them to win more than that. I think they're going to contend again.
He's got to stay with us from now on. He's a gone.
He's a gone.
He's like a Mario. He's a Mario. He's a gone. He's a gone.
All right. Who do we got left on this side?
You know who we got left. Don't act like that. We got Oklahoma.
Oklahoma, yeah.
New
head coach, Brent Venables.
Who was it? What team do we have to talk about now? Oh, the Sooners. Okay, let's do it.
You want to talk about the Sooners? Why don't you start with your thoughts about the Sooners?
My thoughts, we've already had this discussion. The Sooners lose quarterback, backup quarterback.
You don't have
that's all I got.
at all? Okay.
And I told you the same thing. That's all I got. And I think that's enough to say that they don't finish in the top 10, which is why we made the little bet where you have to wear this hat for the rest of your life.
Never, ever, ever wear a Texas hat. Never.
You have to. It's a bet. It's a bet. You have to.
I didn't make that bet.
Well, then I
will not ever.
You're not confident in your team? You're not confident in your team.
Make that bet. I will never make that bet.
Y'all heard it here first. Jason's terrified that Oklahoma sucks.
It's not about that. I don't care if they win 9 games and don't finish in the top 10. I'm never ever wearing a Texas hat.
You're happy.
It doesn't matter.
You're happy.
No, I'm not happy. But I do. Honestly, if they were to win 9 games this year, I don't think that's a terrible season for Oklahoma. I don't know that they're going to win this Big 12 championship game. I think that they have just as much claim to it as anybody else in the conference. Even though they lost the number of players that they lost, the guys that they've gotten in their place they're acceptable replacements. They just are. When you talk about a guy like Dillon Gabriel, he's a preseason all Big 12 first team quarterback. He's got 70+ touchdowns in his career, over 8,000 yards in his career at UCF. He played for Lebby in that system over there. This is a good situation for Oklahoma that could have been a terrible situation when you lost Caleb Williams and Spencer Rattler. And which is what you're talking about, and you keep basing this opinion on, is the fact that they lost 2 quarterbacks. But it could have been a hell of a lot worse had they not had, okay, and I'm going to get to that, but had they not had a guy like Dillon come in, if you don't have Dillon Gabriel come in, I think you're right. Because they got him coming in, he's better than Spencer Rattler. He may not be better than Caleb Williams. He's better than Spencer Rattler.
He might be better than Caleb Williams. We'll find out.
I don't know that he's better than Caleb Williams, but that being said, listen, he's got 70 touchdowns and 8,000 yards.
Yeah, no doubt.
You know?
No doubt. And I mean, it ain't like he lost Marvin Mims, who's good. Oklahoma reloads, man.
Exactly. They're one of those teams that they're going to reload and do that anyway. And now, going to the coach thing, I think that Lincoln Riley is the best play caller in the country on offense. I know that he doesn't do great with defenses for sure, and his ability to get an entire team ready is not the greatest, okay? They definitely lost something there, but Lebby is a very good replacement as far as offensively is going. And where they're going to be a lot better, and this is why I'm going to say this and why I think that other part of your argument's crap, is because Brent Venables has been one of the best defensive coaches in the country for 20 years. He is as big a reason that Clemson won 2 national titles as Dabo or anybody else there, because of the defenses and the way that they recruited. Huh?
A bigger reason.
I said as big a reason as Dabo or anybody else.
Oh, I thought you said a bigger reason.
I said as big. You could go back and look yourself.
I'm glad you clarified. Oh, I'm going to.
He's as big a reason. And I think that Dabo Swinney will tell you that. Dabo Swinney wasn't happy about losing him. And go back and talk to his defensive line guys and things like that. They love this dude. Every one of them. They loved him at Oklahoma before he left. You know, look, I think that Venables, the culture is changing a little bit around there. There's some things that are going on. Do they win the whole thing? I'm not going to put a bunch of money saying they would, but I'm not. I wouldn't
any money.
I wouldn't be surprised if they did. No, I'm not going to bet it because I don't bet on teams that I root for. You already know that. I don't bet on teams that I root for. I just don't.
You feel better?
No. What do you mean?
Feel worse?
No, I just killed you on it. So, yeah, I feel better.
Okay,
I just killed your argument. I just killed your argument.
You've been trying to talk Oklahoma for 30 minutes, and I just gave you a 5-minute rant. You better feel better.
I'm killing your argument. Yeah, listen, they're going to be better on defense. How much better we're going to see. The guys that they're recruiting is it looks good. But again, I also believe that Dave Aranda is an insanely good coach. I feel like Oklahoma State never beats Oklahoma twice in a row, so until they do that, I would never expect it. But I feel like between Baylor and Oklahoma those are the two teams that I would pick. Texas is a dark horse to me. They're a dark horse. They have to prove it. You said it yourself. They got to prove it. Until they do, I wouldn't expect it. I just thought they were 5-7, bro. They were 5-7. So that being said, look, guys, tell us what you think. We are giving away 2 free tickets to the Big 12 championship game. Go onto our Patreon page, vote in the poll. Let us know what you think, and get your chance to win 2 free tickets. Become part of our mailing list. To do so, it'll be great. Hey, nobody is safe. And if you come in here talking garbage, Oklahoma State fans, I dare you to jump in here talking trash and see how that goes. Because I'm loving on you guys a little bit, but I don't care. I will get you back. So he wouldn't let me do the preview show because I remembered all y'all dorks talking about Oklahoma State. Yeah, talking about summer camp and crap.
I was going to freaking talk about top summer camps in since the 2020s.
And listen, man, I make sure that y'all are happy. I'm not a big Gundy fan. I got to tell you, I think that he's the problem there, and he's got a perpetual 5-year deal. What that means, it's so weird to me.
I got to get off of here. Nobody's safe.
Nobody's safe, guys. We will see you on the next one. hit the like, subscribe, and yeah.
Turn on the lights, let me step up on the stage. Give me the mic, this is my time to escape. My past has been hard.